Hello everybody, this is our information video. I mentioned in your email that I was going to do this in lieu of our face-to-face meeting tonight, mainly because I think it's just like a lot of information that I just need to give you, and the advantage too is you can look at this on your own time instead of having to schedule time to be there at 7 o'clock tonight. And what I've done is tried to incorporate more online discussion in lieu of face-to-face. Quite honestly, a lot of times it's because the connectivity between all the different connections sometimes is so poor, it just doesn't stimulate a really good flow of conversation. So here we go. The first thing I want to do is go over the objectives, or really the course syllabus. And I've got this pulled up now, and this is what it should look like on your screen when you go to syllabus. And of course, you'll see university policies and support, course requirements and grading, and then the syllabus itself. And should have, hopefully, I think most of you have already purchased the book. Of course, the course is about educational change and policy. And I would say it's more heavy on change, organizational change, with a little bit on policy as we work through it. I think it'll just kind of naturally flow into the conversation. The objectives to identify and describe and analyze elements of a purposeful change at the local, regional, and national level. I think you'll find Fullen's research and narrative on this real enlightening. I think you'll be able to see where he's actually evolved in his thinking a great deal in the area of organizational change. And probably one of the fundamental things he points out, and it's one of the things that's in one of your activities for this module, is the misalignment between the government's theory of change and the local level theory of change. And that's something that as education leaders we have to manage all the time. The book I've selected, The New Meaning of Educational Change, 5th edition. You should have, of course, purchased that right now and begun reading it. And then last week, you read Chapter 1. The major, without reading through these objectives, the major thing we want to be able to do this year, I want you to be able to do, is actually create what I'm calling a transformation target plan of action, incorporating some of these ideas that we develop along the way. Hopefully there's something at your local situation that you see that truly needs transformation that you can have some influence over. And ideally this would be nice if the project that you do, which is one of our requirements that I'll go over, is related to that. There are 15 modules corresponding with each week of the semester. The way it will work is you will do the assignments for each week during the week. The new module would become available on at Monday, every Monday at midnight, and all your assignments are due at Sunday at 11:59 p.m. And I like that because it gives you the whole weekend and that times to work on it. It's generally going to flow in that way all the way through. Now going back to requirements, here are the requirements. We're going to have 4 video discussions and they're 50 points apiece. It looks like I already have to make some correction because that is now 200 points and that's actually not what it should be 200 points. So I will change that as soon as our video is over and redo these numbers. Actually what I think I'll do, I'm going to take away 1 perusal and 1 content assignment in order to make those numbers match what our grading configurations. So you're going to have 4 video discussions, 12 perusal discussions, and that number may change to 11 now, 4 dissertation assignments. These will be directly related to your dissertation and skill development in that. You've already done 1, I think, which is the update on that. So we're going to have 11 content assignments instead of 12, and then that transportation target project that you'll learn more about as we move through the system. And here's how the numbers will work out. And as I mentioned before, I will correct this and make some adjustments so it'll still come out this way. As far as assistance, anytime you need assistance, send me an email. Send it to my Texas Wesleyan email address. If you want to meet face-to-face, we'll make arrangements. We can either do that online or truly face-to-face, just whatever works for you. This course is designed for people that are, as you know, working. You have daily jobs, you have families, and we understand that, and I understand that. And I'm trying to incorporate better and better design of an online instruction as we move forward with the course. Learning activities, of course, are chapter readings and perusals. Now, perusal, you'll notice that you have that link over here, and this is what it will look like. Now, this is my view because I have administrator access, but the way perusal works, I think everyone in the class has done this before. In fact, some of you have already started. So like, for example, when I go to this one right here and open that up, we can already see some people have highlighted and started the process, which is a good example is right here. And we can already see where Jamie has put something in here. Somebody else did. I mean, I put this comment in here, and it's well in for another. And the way Jamie started, she simply highlighted something that she saw that intrigued her, and then I responded to that. And then it just keeps going on and on and on. You probably recall from last semester there is a grading rubric that I use that is based on a scoring system on quantity, quality, your distribution of comments, and finally an overall score on your interaction. I switch between 7 and 10 annotations. If it's a long article, I use 10. If it's a small one, I only use 7. But we'll do perusals each week, and we'll use a lot of articles from Mike Fullen himself because I think that really brings life to the course. And I'll use some different videos, things like that. Content assignments will be related to the work. They won't always be just a Word document that you fill out and respond to some items due. We'll vary those assignments to some extent to make it more engaging for you and bring more life to it, and to also relate to the final project that we'll do. And then, so that's perusals. If you have any question on that, you might recall back from last semester, I put a lot of resources in OneNote directly related to the scoring system. You might refer back to that. And the OneNote brings up a good point. I am not using OneNote at all in this course. So everything you need will be in Blackboard. So that's something that I think helps you out just a little bit. Trying to think of anything else that, assignments for this week. Let's go to the learning modules and look at module 2 and see what all you've got to do there. Of course, reading of chapter 2 was required of you this week. The video discussion, which you're doing now. Now, this is an actual assignment. So there's 2 parts to this assignment now that I've changed. First, there's a follow-up here. And what this follow-up is going to be is really just asking you, do you have any questions about any of the course requirements or anything about how we're going to operate. And it also asking you, to what extent, what capacities do you hope to gain through studying organizational change in this course. A second part, that this is something new I'm trying, is I created a perusal document. Let me go back to that so you can see it. It's already assigned to you, called Fullen Chapter 2. Now what I've done is I brought out 6 points that I thought were interesting from Chapter 2, and then I have started a discussion thread for each. So you don't need to be the one to start it, you can be the one to respond to it. So I have one for each one. So for example, we have this quote from the book from there, and then I asked the question, does this surprise you? My perspective has been voluntary changes are much easier to accomplish. Share your thoughts on this. I've done that for each one of these points. You're required to have at least 7 annotations across the whole thing, not on each one, just across the whole thing as you work through that. Now that will be the second part of the video assignment. So when you go back over here, what you'll do is once you've completed the perusal part and the follow-up, you'll submit that follow-up. I'll go check perusal to make sure you've done that, and then that will allow me to give you full credit for that. So that's the completion of the video part of this, and it's to make an assumption, of course, you've already watched the video. Then you have, let me see, you have a perusal, which I mentioned before, and this particular perusal was choosing the right or the wrong drivers for change. This is one of Fullen's articles. Choosing the wrong drivers for whole system reform. I've already made some comments on that. I showed you some of Jamie's comments. So I'm gonna, and that's one of the things I'm really gonna try to do this semester is engage with you in these perusals, so the conversation is as rich as it can be. Because I'm thoroughly impressed and enjoy seeing what you write and reacting to that. So we've got. You need to do the video follow-up, then we have this perusal, then you have one content assignment. Let me go back and see what that is. The one content assignment is very simple. It's going to be, if I recall, it's asking you to, I think it's articulate a situation where you've had to be involved in a change. Can't remember it word for word right now, but when you see it, you'll understand it. That one is due as well. So kind of go back and what's due this week from you. The video discussion, which includes two parts, the follow-up and the perusal responses to the quotes I put out there, the perusal from the article, and the content assignment. It's not really all that labor-intensive, but that's what you're in. And it doesn't matter on the perusals if you do them all at once or if you do them over 3 or 4 days. That really doesn't matter on that. So that's what's required this week. If you have any questions, you can put those on that follow-up assignment, and I encourage you to do that. The last thing is I want you to check to see. I'm going to have to go back and look and see on this. Hang on just a second. Well, never mind on that. I was going to try to get you to respond to what days you might be available for the next 3 video conferences, but we'll work on that later. So I don't want this video to run too long because it takes too long to upload. So I'm going to close off for now, and we look forward to being online with you for the rest of the semester.